The Chiefs continue to make moves. We broke down the signing of Matt Araiza yesterday. Today, we break down two more signings, a wide receiver, a safety. We'll tell you about that later on in the show. Plus, Charles Omenihu had an injury update on his torn ACL. We're going to tell you what happened and what it means for his timetable coming back next year. Plus, we got a report that MVS was a Super Bowl hero in more ways than we expected. I'll tell you why and what happened later on in the show. And the final thing, Harrison Butker, could he be in line for an extension within the next couple of weeks? Well, we tell you what that would cost and how that will look here on the Chiefs Report. But I'm telling you right now, I need your help. The bosses have been challenging me this past week, and, well, today they challenged me hugely. They said that I need to get at least 750 likes or else. And I got to be honest, if you know my boss, I don't want to know what or else is. I really would rather just save that for another time. So please save me, save all of Chiefs Kingdom. Hit that like button and don't get me in trouble because I need your help. Let's get this show on the road. Hopefully I can earn your like with it as well. Jace Andrews here with you, and let's get started off on the show with the first topic. As I mentioned, the Kansas City Chiefs continue to make moves. Well, guess what? They made a couple additional moves with the Matt Araiza signing, and the first one being Tyree Gillespie. He was signed in addition to Matt Araiza yesterday. Now, I say this in a little bit of a soft term of he was on the practice squad for the back half of this year. Honestly, I think this is just a depth piece. Nothing really too much report here, more or less keeping him on the squad. They liked him enough in the practice squad to keep him on the 90-man roster going forward. The bigger one that I want to talk about is Cornell Powell, the wide receiver out of Clemson, a former fifth-round pick. He is now also coming back to the Chiefs. The difference? Well, Cornell's been on Kansas City for now 3 years. Now, what exactly happened with Cornell Powell? Can he finally be able to crack the roster? Well, maybe this is his year. He was the former fifth-round pick, like I mentioned, out of Clemson back in 2021, although he's never made the 53-man roster in 3 seasons. Now, he's had flashes in preseason, but with the way that the Chiefs are attacking the wide receiver in this offseason, this honestly may be his last chance. Why? Well, because the reason he's on this squad is because he knows the team. He's done well in terms of being at practice. He's been a scout team guy. And that kind of bounces out next year when you're on your 4th year. That kind of goes away. I don't know if they're going to want to sign him back. So this may be your last chance to hopefully break through. Now, he actually did have a decent preseason this year, 6 receptions, 63 yards, and 1 touchdown. But the bigger thing, and I think something that was at a premium all this year, he didn't drop a pass in the preseason. He had 6 targets, 6 receptions, no drops. This guy was exceptional when it came to getting the ball when it came to him. 63 yards isn't a lot, but still, I think it's time for him to kind of come out and present himself because, well, he's been a valuable asset in multiple ways. I talk about the scout team performance. I talk about practice squad. But you're not going to keep a guy on your roster who hasn't cracked the 53-man in 3 years if he doesn't provide some sort of benefit to your team. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that he's going to come out, break the bank, he's going to come out here and play amazing and all of a sudden deserve a big contract. No. I'm just saying that he needs to come out here and play well to hopefully get on the roster and, heck, maybe get himself a contract for multiple years next year. We'll have to see, though. Ultimately, the wide receiver has been a focus for this offseason, and it continues to mostly be the topic of conversation. It's been that way since pretty much week 1. Now, the free agent wide receivers that are a little bit bigger names, obviously, that we could see the Chiefs potentially signing. And here's a bunch of names. We got T. Higgins, obviously a big name down there close to Mike Evans. We've talked about Mike Evans for a little bit, but ultimately his price tag, his age, doesn't really make sense to sign. T. Higgins is a little bit younger. I feel like he hits more of the check boxes, I guess would be the right way to say that. Michael Pittman Jr. I also like. And then Calvin Ridley's the one that I think could be the guy the Chiefs sign. That and Gabe Davis. Now, Gabe Davis has been a tormentor to the Chiefs for a little bit now, but it'd be kind of nice to see him in the Kansas City Red. And then the 5 on the right side there, you see Marquise Brown, Darnell Mooney, Noah Brown, Tyler Boyd, and KJ Osborne. Those may be a little bit more realistic in terms of price value, but again, the Chiefs are looking to make some moves to free up some cap space, and we'll tell you about that in a later show, so make sure you're subscribed for that. But I do ask this question, is there a receiver on that list that you want the Chiefs to sign this offseason? Is there somebody not on that list? Maybe Curtis Samuel sparks your interest. I know he sparks mine. Let me know in the comment section who's a wide receiver you would want the Chiefs to sign this offseason and bring in to hopefully come in for a three-peat chance in 2024. Let's continue on the show. We talked about Charles Omenihu having an injury update. Well, we finally get to have that now. What exactly is the update? It's the offseason, Jace. What are we going to talk about? Well, he's coming off a torn ACL in the AFC Championship game. Obviously, his hope was that he could continue to play. And I think that's one thing that is stinky. He was expecting to play. He tore his ACL. And when you do that, you kind of feel fine just a couple minutes later. But obviously, you get the MRI done, everything checks out, and you're like, yeah, that's not going to work. So he did have successful ACL repair surgery, And obviously here, you see this. This is going to be a long process for him to try and get back to the football field. But how long a process is it going to be? Well, Dakota Wilson from Arrowhead Pride gave us a little bit of a look into this. Following surgery from a torn ACL, return to play will be at least 9 months, but potentially longer. A quicker return to play is also assuming there is no ligamentous or meniscus damage suffered. And if other structures within the knee joint are injured, the recovery timeline is obviously longer. Omenihu may be ready to return in late September or October. Some defensive linemen returning from ACL injuries often take closer to 11 to 12 months to return. For reference, Chiefs defensive lineman Tershawn Wharton returned from an ACL tear in Week 3, September 24th, after suffering the injury in Week 5, which was October 10th of the 2022 season. This is almost a complete year removed from the injury. Now, I'll tell you a little bit more of the timeline here in just a minute and how you can compare this to some other injuries in the National League. But before that, we're Super Bowl champions, baby. It's still talking about it. I'm still loving it. And honestly, you can go get your gear. Chatsports.com/Super Bowl. You see this hat? Guess what came in? I got mine. I got it on chatsports.com/Super Bowl. You can do the same thing. It's pretty snazzy. Plus, we got other stuff. We got the shirts. We got the ones they wore on the field, along with an alternate version. But if you want long sleeve, we got you covered. And that alternate version I mentioned, home of the chrome. Me and Sam both agreed. We like it. And honestly, it fits well because back-to-back years in Kansas City, KC's the home of the chrome. Again, you can go get all this, including the championship hat that I got. I'm telling you, this is a nice hat. People kind of downgrade the cream. This is really, really nice. Chatsports.com/Super Bowl. You can get all this stuff and more down there. So go down there. Link will be in the comments and the description of this video. Go check it out because, listen, we're the only team who gets to wear Super Bowl gear another year in a row. Let's go back to Charles Omenihu and kind of look at some similar situations around the NFL. Now, Von Miller, Chase Young, and Nick Bosa all had similar injuries, and here's their timeline. Von was out 10 months, Chase was out the full year, and Nick Bosa was out 11 months. And to me, I think he's probably going to compare closer to Chase Young and the way he plays. He's more of a, I guess the best way to say this is he's explosive out of his stance, given he's an edge and a bit of a taller edge. Kind of like Carlos Dunlap, he uses his size and speed to get it. He's not going to be, full push. I'm going to use my size and speed to get around you. So we could see him really need to take it slow and make sure that ACL is fully repaired, which would stink because he's probably going to miss time in the regular season no matter what. I mean, ultimately, that's just the way it's going to be. Potentially, we couldn't see him until the playoffs next year. I know that sounds crazy, but there's a shot that happens. I don't really know what to tell you. And hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully we get him, say, 8, 9, 10 weeks into the season. But most likely, he's not going to be available for preseason stuff for sure. Won't be in training camp or preseason games. I would highly, highly, highly doubt he's going to miss some regular season time as well. All right, I know you saw this at the beginning of the show, and you were like, Jace, what the heck are you talking about? MVS being a Super Bowl hero? Yeah, he caught a touchdown, but that doesn't make him a hero. Well, there's more than meets the eye than just stats. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say his stats were bad because they were actually really impressive through the playoffs. 4 games, 8 receptions, 128 yards, 16 average, 1 touchdown. That coming in the Super Bowl. But my thing is, he did something maybe more important than any stat on a book or sheet. He may have called the play of the game. 4th and 1, OT. You get it, you continue the game. You don't get it, game over, 49ers are Super Bowl champions. Well, guess what? This play, for a Patrick Mahomes option to either throw it to Kelsey or run, Patrick didn't call it. Andy Reid didn't call it. MVS did. Patrick Mahomes said this on a radio show just a couple days ago. I wish I could take all the credit, but it was kind of crazy. So we were going through our plays, and we were trying to decide if we were going to run or pass, and we'd had a couple of run plays dialed up. We had already had a lot of short yardage situations in the game, and we were trying to find that perfect play. I was thinking of passes because I wanted to pass it and have the ball in my hands. It was actually MVS who came up to me in the huddle and on the side and said, "Hey, let's go slot tees," which is wild because it's not really a play designed for him. It's a play designed for Travis and Rasheed. When he said it, it clicked for me. I was like, that's it. That's perfect. Bombshell. What? I don't know what to say here. MVS called the play of the game and was sitting there. I mean, here's what I'll have to say. I think MVS should be cut. I'm not going to sit there and say that. But there is something to note that there's more than meets the eye than just what goes on this television screen. He's at practices. He's helping the team in multiple ways. There's things you don't see. There's things he does that you're never going to know about. And that's exactly why football is a team sport. I mean, say MVS is not there. The Chiefs go with a run to Pacheco, and he doesn't get it. And right now we're sitting here talking about how the Chiefs blew the game, how they could have won. I don't know. That could have been what happened. But still, I don't think it's going to save MVS's career. I think $12 million this year is just too hefty a price for a guy who dropped so many passes and caused you so many headaches in the regular season. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Maybe I'm the one who needs to take a chill pill and give him a second chance. Well, here's the idea. You can let me know. What should the Chiefs do with Marquez Valdes-Scantling? Should they cut him? Type C for cut. Should they keep him? Do you think he's earned his right to stay on this team? Then type K for keep. Listen, $12 million is a lot to save. You got to at least restructure it in some way. I don't know how that's going to work, but still, let me know. C for cut, K for keep. All right, the last topic on the show, Butker's extension. Now, I bring this up because extension alerts are starting to get talked about, and honestly, Butker deserves it. In the playoffs, he may be the reason the Chiefs are here. I mean, I got to be quite honest. There's obviously a team sport, and that is one thing to look at, and they had to get to these positions to make the field goals. But there's only one guy on the field who can make them, and it was Harrison Butker. He was perfect. 11 for 11 on field goals, 8 for 8 on extra points, 2 field goals from 50-plus yards. And guess what? Longest field goal in Super Bowl history, which was funny because guess what? We also had that in the first field goal of the game from Jake Moody, but then he said, I'm going to go 57. You did that little 55 piece. It's going to be pot out of the water. What would an extension cost? What would it price like be? Well, I looked up some of the more higher paid kickers, the highest paid kickers today, and it's Younghoe Koo, who has 5 years, $24 million, and then Graham Gano, who had a 3-year, $16.5 million contract. Now, what would Butker ask for? Well, obviously, you want him to be somewhat of a top-tier range with kickers. Graham Gano, Younghoe Koo, those are some of the top contracts we've seen in the past couple of years. Well, here's what I'm projecting. 5 years, $26.5 million. So, honestly, that's a pretty good price for a kicker. You get him for the next 5 years. And honestly, it's around the range of years plus money per year that you would like to see for Butker. And honestly, I'd match him with some of the top paid kickers, make him actually one of the top paid kickers in the National Football League. I think he deserves it. Listen, you can sit here and say all you want. Harrison Butker is, in my mind, the best kicker in the National Football League. That's what I'm going to say. If you want to extend Harrison Butker, do me a favor, go down there and like that video. Obviously, I know that my bosses really need me to get some 50, so listen, if you want Harrison Butker to extend it, just go hit the like button for that too, because I'd certainly appreciate it. We're doing the best we can here on the Chiefs Report, and I want to make sure the bosses see that. I don't want to be down in the dumps by tomorrow. We appreciate you. As always, Chiefs Kingdom. We'll see you next time. Peace out.